Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. Welcome back if you've already been here before. My name is Caitlin and I am doing the type of video that I kind of made this channel for in the first place. So I'm really excited. I always wanted this to be more about like football and makeup at the same time, since those are my two kind of main interests in life. I really like this one YouTuber. Her name's Bailey Sarian. She does videos every Monday where she does her makeup and talks about a true crime story at the same time. And I think those are my favorite videos to watch on YouTube. So I wanted to do something similar where I just did my makeup and talked about the NFL, a specific NFL team, and then I wanted to have the makeup look that I did resemble the team colors. I thought that that would be a really fun time. So anyway, with Super Bowl 54 coming up here on February 2nd, and today is January 25th that I'm filming this, I wanted to try and see if I could get a video out on both teams. Fingers crossed. I don't know if I'll be able to do that, but as you can probably see by the title, we are going to be talking about the San Francisco 49ers today. So obviously the title, and like I just said, we're talking about the San Francisco 49ers. I wanted to start with them, even though as a resident, I should probably do my makeup already. As a resident in the state of Arizona, it's a law that we hate every team that comes out of the state of California, so I don't like the 49ers, but I wanted to start with them because after the NFC Championship game, I saw a tweet that I thought was pretty interesting, and so I wanted to talk about it because I knew I was going to make this video, and so I thought let's start there because I felt like it would be a good time to talk about that. So the tweet I saw was specifically about their head coach, Kyle Shanahan. For those of you that don't know, his dad is Mike Shanahan, who was the head coach of the Denver Broncos. I believe it was from 1995 to 2008. I know it was for 14 seasons. He won 2 Super Bowls with them, and then he was an offensive coordinator for another team. I can't remember which team it was, and he won a Super Bowl with them as well. So anyway, so his dad was a really good football coach, winning Super Bowls, making it to the Super Bowl. That's a pretty good measure of success. So going back to Kyle, and I'm actually just going to read this directly off my computer because I'm not an encyclopedia and I don't have all of this memorized. But Kyle's career, he started with UCLA and Kyle's the head coach. Mike is his dad. Anyway, Kyle was the graduate assistant at UCLA in 2003, and then he was the offensive quality control coach for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers from 2004 to 2005. And then he was the wide receivers coach for the Houston Texans in 2006, and then quarterbacks coach for the Texans again in 2007, and then offensive coordinator for the Texans from 2008 to 2009. He was with the Redskins from 2010 to 2013 as their offensive coordinator. He was then the offensive coordinator for the Cleveland Browns in 2014. And then from 2015 to 2016, he was the offensive coordinator for the Atlanta Falcons. Many of you may remember a Super Bowl where the Atlanta Falcons were up 28-3 and then lost. He was the offensive coordinator for that Super Bowl. And now he is the coach of the 49ers since 2017. So going back to that tweet I mentioned, he had, so it was during the NFC Championship game when the 49ers were mid-wallop of the Green Bay Packers and obviously playing very well, that somebody had tweeted, oh, you guys want to keep, mentioning something to the effect of like, you want to keep mentioning nepotism when you talk about him, but the gist of the tweet was just like, he's obviously really good, so why do we keep mentioning that like his dad helped him get a job and things like that? And so I wanted to talk about the tweet because I thought it was interesting, but also kind of silly in the sense, because I felt like the argument being made is that if you are hired just because of nepotism or given an opportunity because of nepotism, that you can't also be good at your job. And I don't think that's true. I don't think those two things are mutually exclusive. But you know, everybody has an opinion, and obviously ours is just different. It's recording again, right? Okay. So because obviously, you know, getting a job in the NFL is incredibly difficult, right? Like, it's not, you don't just get into the NFL after 1 year and as a graduate assistant in college. I don't think that happens for most people. So I would argue that obviously his dad, being who he was, helped him get his foot in the door and get an opportunity. But I don't think it means that, you know, the success that he's had with that opportunity is all credited to his dad, and he's only a head coach because of who his dad is. I think he's obviously very talented, and we'll kind of talk about the turnaround he's made for the 49ers later. But moving along to kind of the rest of the team. So I don't want to make this video so long that you guys give up watching because it's so boring because we get into all of the details of everything. But I do want, my goal is kind of for those of you who maybe don't know as much about football, don't pay as close attention to football, but want to have, you know, some idea of what's going on for Super Bowl parties or things like that. You know, I hope that you can walk away from here with some new fun facts to bring to those parties. So I feel like kind of the player that I most wanted to talk about when talking about the 49ers is George Kittle. He's the tight end. Hopefully you know what a tight end is. If you don't, look it up. But he's a tight end, so he's on the offense. He is really, really good. He's probably one of the best. I think The Ringer podcast had him ranked as the number 22 player in their preseason fantasy football player rankings. So, you know, for fantasy football player rankings, obviously that's all offensive players because it's who's going to get you points. And so he was the number 22 offensive player of the whole league before the year started, at least as far as their rankings went. And I think he was still pretty good. What's really cool about him is, so he does, you know, he is really good at catching and scoring and doing all those things associated with scoring those points in fantasy football. Like his stats for this year, he had 216, oh, sorry, that's his career. So his stats for this year, he had 85 receptions, 1,053 yards. And so that averages to 12.4 yards per reception, which is really good. That's almost like he's picking up a first down every time he's getting the ball on an average. And so he scored 5 touchdowns. He adds a lot more to the team than scoring touchdowns. And, you know, a lot of what he does is really good run blocking. Let's see. Okay, so sorry, I'm back. This was turning more purple than red, and I wanted this to be more red, and I couldn't talk and get this where I wanted at the same time. Anyways, so George Kittle, he's the tight end. I already said that. Oh, so something funny that he did. So after the NFC Championship game, he did his press conference wearing a t-shirt of a shirtless Jimmy Garoppolo, which is the quarterback of the team, and he had Jimmy Garoppolo sign it. And so I just thought that was really funny that he did that. And he's really good. He's probably one of the best players on the 40. Well, it feels weird to say that because they actually have a lot of good players, but he's one of the better players on the team. He's really important to their running game. So for any of you that watched the NFC Championship game, they ran it way more than they passed it. Let's see. So in the NFC Championship game, when they played the 49ers, the quarterback, Garoppolo, attempted 8 passes and completed 6 of those for a total of 77 yards on the whole game. They ran the ball Raheem Mostert ran the ball 29 carries. He ran it 220 yards. Their whole team rushing was 42 attempts, 285 yards. So they didn't really need to do a whole lot as far as their passing game goes. So in that game, actually, Kittle had one reception for 19 yards. Their wide receiver, Deebo Samuel, he had two receptions for 46 yards. So the passing game wasn't as important to their game plan in winning, because they obviously just needed to keep running the ball. The Packers couldn't stop them. What I thought was interesting is that Next Gen Stats did this graphic on the regular season, and they said that with Kittle on the field, they averaged 4.9 yards. This was in the regular season, 4.9 yards per carry, and with him off the field, they averaged 3 yards per carry. So they, and then a 10 plus yard gain percentage, meaning when they did run the ball, if it went for 10 or more yards, that percentage was 18% with him on the field, 7% with him off the field. So their success rate was 43% with him on the field and 29% with him off the field, which is crazy. He's really obviously very impactful to the running game, and so he's someone to kind of watch out for when you're watching the games, just to see, first, see if the Kansas City defense can even stop the run game, because the Packers obviously couldn't, and if they can, we'll get to see what Jimmy G can do as far as passing goes. Okay, so going back to Raheem Mostert, I hope I'm saying that correctly. He had a very successful game in the NFC Championship game that I was mentioning earlier, and he's actually had a really great postseason. The NFL had tweeted that he is I keep forgetting to do my makeup at the same time. Oh my god. Oh, you know what? We can fix it. Here we go. They had tweeted that he is the only player in NFL history with 200 or more rushing yards and 4 or more rushing touchdowns in one playoff game. And so that's what he did against the Packers last Sunday. And so I thought that's really cool. I mean, it's a very specific stat, though, because if he's the second player in NFL history with more than 200 rushing yards in a game, but when you tack on the 4 or more touchdowns, he's the only player in NFL history. So, stats. And obviously, he was the only one to score any touchdowns during that NFC game. So then something cool, I'm just going to read this again because, like I said, I don't have all of this memorized. But for Raheem Mostert, I thought this was really interesting. So this was his career. So in 2015, he played for the Philadelphia Eagles, but he was only on the roster in either the offseason or the preseason. He actually didn't play for them during the regular season. The Dolphins, he played with them in 2015, Ravens and Browns as well in 2015. So he was getting cut and traded and, picked up by all these other teams. On the New York Jets in 2016, he was again only on the team. It says either in the offseason or preseason. He did play for the Chicago Bears in 2016 as well, and that was during the regular season. So I think he probably likely played for the Jets in the preseason, was released, and then went to the Bears. And then he's been with the 49ers since 2016. And so the reason I just thought that was so cool was that he he got a second chance, basically. He wasn't expected to be this super great player. He was just, one of those guys that was making the practice teams, getting cut and things like that. And then now here he is breaking records in playoff games. And I just think that's really cool for him. So another exciting thing about the 49ers that is history breaking related, they have an offensive assistant coach. Her name is Katie Sowers, and she will be the first female coach to coach in a Super Bowl. She will also be, or in Yeah, in the Super Bowl. And then she will also be the first openly gay coach in the Super Bowl as well. So I thought that was pretty cool for her and for, you know, just women in football in general. Okay, so anyways, Nick Bosa, defensive end. He was the number 2 overall pick last year. He's the one that Trump tweeted, like, congratulations to him for being the number 2 overall pick. But Trump never said anything about Kyler Murray, who was the number 1 pick. And I'll let you guys figure out on your own the difference between the two of them. Anywho, it's not really super relevant to what I'm about to say, but just, you know, want to share my random knowledge with you guys. So I feel like it's gonna be, I'm gonna be like shaking, like, so. Okay, so back to Nick Bosa. He's actually, they have another defensive end, D Ford, and the two of them only played, I think what I read was 108 snaps together this season. But when they did, the quarterbacks that they were facing off against had a QBR, an average QBR, which is the quarterback rating, of 3.0. A perfect QBR is like 156 or something like that. So to hold opposing quarterbacks on average to 3 is nuts. And a QBR isn't like a perfect measure of a quarterback's success. So, you know, there's flaws with that rating system, but still, like, for the purpose of what we're talking about, how good these two guys are together on the field, you know, they're super fast off the edge. They just create a lot of pressure, and quarterbacks have a hard time facing off against that. So it'll be really interesting to see how Patrick Mahomes does against them. I'm really curious to see if offense or defense comes out on top. I'm having like a weird reaction right there. I don't know what's going on. Okay. So we're down here. Okay. And then, I saw this article it was on sfgate.com, and it said that Nick Bosa is actually the great-grandson of a notorious mobster. Most feared mobster is what their title said. His name is... His grandfather's name is Tony Accardo, and when Tony Accardo was 15 or 16, he started working for one of Al Capone's hitmen. And then when he was in like 25, I think it said, he was the bodyguard for Al Capone. And then by the time he was 50, he was the head of Chicago's, what was it called? Oh, he was head of the Chicago outfit, which apparently, I didn't know this, is one of the most feared crime families in America, is the Chicago outfit. And so he was the head of them by the time he was 50. So, you know, moved up the ranks in mobster town. Anyway, he said, or there was something in the article where it said that when the FBI had like wiretapped him or something, he was overheard saying that he was a part of the Valentine's Day massacre, which for those of you that maybe don't know, that's one of the most notorious kind of killings in mobster history. So he said that he was a part of that. There's no confirmation on whether or not he actually was, or if he was just saying that he was. But because of his reputation, it's not totally unbelievable that he could have been. And so I just thought that was crazy, because they actually like broke it down on the article, and they said, you know, he died before Nick Bosa was born, but he, like, I think it said from the time that Tony Accardo was born to now, or something like that. It was like 114 years between like him being like this notorious mobster, like, you know, just the connection between him being a mobster and the NFL was just kind of cool. So I thought that was really an interesting fun fact that you can share with all of your friends and family if that maybe don't know that. So there's probably one other player that I want to talk about just kind of on an individual scale, and that is Richard Sherman. So Richard Sherman played for the Seattle Seahawks for years. I didn't think to like check and make sure that I knew how many, but anyway, last season he was with the Seahawks and he injured his Achilles, and so he was out, and then the Seahawks cut him at the end of the season, and I think it was the end of the season. And so that's when he signed a contract with the 49ers. Now, this contract with the 49ers, he actually didn't have an agent representation or anything. Him and his wife worked together to, negotiate the contract with the 49ers, and he actually got a lot of flack for this because his contract was $39 million for 3 years. However, it wasn't guaranteed, and what was guaranteed was I feel like I probably just covered my face with my mirror that entire time. What was guaranteed was, like, I think what I was reading on, it was NBC Sports, like Bay Area, what are they called? I want to give appropriate credit. Oh, NBCBayArea.com. They had said that it was really guaranteed was 1 year, $7 million, which he's a very good cornerback in the NFL. So people were saying that he really just kind of like didn't get the best deal for himself because it wasn't guaranteed, and he's older and he just had a serious injury, and he's not going to see most of that money. Well, he's played the whole season. They're going to the Super Bowl, and so all the different things built into the contract, he is seeing that money, and so it's just to note that he bet on himself and felt like he was going to be successful and he was confident in himself and believed in himself and thought he was going to get the guaranteed money and do all of that. And so it ended up working out in his favor. So that's a lot of like what people are talking about, because he's still kind of like, I think it was after one of the playoff games, after the NFC Championship game, he got into some Twitter beef with Darrelle Revis on Twitter, obviously. But I think it was the divisional round that he was just saying, like, kind of talking like, hey, you guys want to keep saying that my contract was crap, like it worked out in the end type of thing. So yeah, that's just something else to, know if you wanted. So now let's kind of take a, look at the team overall. I kind of already hit this point, but they have the two, Nick Bosa and Dee Ford are their two really good edge rushers, create a lot of pressure. The QBR of 3, which I, like, when I saw that, I was just like I just thought that was crazy. I really was astonished by that stat. Let's see. And okay, well, I pretty much already talked. So the San Francisco 49ers defense is one of, if not the best defense in the NFL. And they're going to be facing off against the Kansas City Chiefs, who are one of the better offenses. I mean, Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens were probably considered the number one offense in the NFL this season, but the Chiefs are definitely very, very good on offense. Patrick Mahomes is a superstar, and then they have a lot of speed with their special skills players, or just skills players. What are they called? The wide receivers and the running backs and all of them. They are, they're all very fast and good. So it'll be really interesting to see if the speed of the of the 49ers defense is going to be what overpowers the speed of the Chiefs offense. So we'll see. The line on the game is Kansas City won, I think, which is essentially a pick'em. Just means like, so a line on a game just says like who Vegas thinks will win, and like the gambling in Vegas, not like just the city of the people in Vegas, but who they think will win. And so when they put the line at one, it just means you basically are, when you bet, you're betting either over that or under that. So you're either saying the Chiefs are going to win by more than one, or the Chiefs are going to they can't win by less than one. So you're either saying the Chiefs are going to win or they're not going to win. And so it's essentially, you're betting either way. Whereas like if the line was Chiefs by 14, you could bet the under, and the Chiefs were, you know, could win by less than 14 points and you could still win. Or if the 49ers won, you could still win, like, because it would be under Chiefs by 14, if that makes sense. That's how that works, right? Okay. Okay, and we finished talking about everything way before my makeup was done, so I'll finish that and then do my final little outro. Okay. All right. Oh, let's bring this a little bit closer. Okay, so that was everything. This is the finished look. I don't like it. The red that I used, I started with that darker purpley color and then I blended it out with red, and I thought the darker purpley color would just deepen the red, but it ended up making all of it look a little bit more purple, which I don't feel like is really representative of their color scheme. But I like how this gold looks. I feel like that's pretty close to what the gold in their in the 49ers colors is. But anyway, thank you so much for watching, especially if you made it to this point and you stuck around and hung out. I hope you liked it. I hope you liked this type of video. Let me know what teams you want to do next. Obviously, I'm going to try and do the Chiefs next since they're the other team. Maybe I can get this red eyeshadow situation figured out before I go on to them. But yeah, let me know any other teams after that you want to talk about, you know, leading up into the draft, or any thoughts you had. Please remember to like this video and subscribe if you're not already. And I hope you all have a good day. Bye!